Good evening, everyone. This is the Town of Auburn Fire Station Building Committee meeting for June 30th, 2025, 6 p.m., opening the meeting. The first item up is a review of their meeting minutes from the last meeting. I know they were sent out to everybody. Are there any comments, questions on those meeting minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve them.
Approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It's approved.
Through the chair, if I could bring up a couple things.
Oh, yeah.
At the fire department, we received a call from a resident that's requesting that we do public comment at the beginning of each meeting and the end of each meeting.
Do we have to do it twice or just put it at the beginning because they don't want to sit through the rest of it?
They asked for both.
Okay.
And then also, if we could not use acronyms as best as possible, not to use the acronyms because they have a hard time following what we're saying.
All right, design team and Opia.
And
I know we all do it, but
So, one suggestion I might have is maybe we make a definitions list to put on the page, so that there's a place to look up if, because in the course of doing business, people are going to fall back on acronyms that they understand. We can, try our best to do that, but if we can put a place that everybody can get to and look it up if they need to without having to figure out which term we're talking about, so.
That's a good idea.
okay. Next item is the contract amendments for both Left Field and Tecton. I know everybody got copies of them out, and then attached or with your agenda tonight, I gave you the budget breakdown, and the put a 6/30/2025 column on there, and that's their amendments and where it relates to the budget, so that you can see that it all falls within the budgets and stuff as we stand right now. And I've also heard from the town manager that she's reviewed and approved or looked at them, and the amendments are good with her, and that it's just waiting for a vote from us on approving them. So, to start with, if there's any questions on the contracts or contract amendments that are out there. If not, then I would take a motion to, we'll take them one at a time. Take Left Field's amendment first.
I move that we approve the left field contract amendment for the owner project manager services as provided to the town manager.
Okay,
I second.
okay, we have any other questions, discussions? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Voted. So, Tecton's amendment. Entertain a motion to approve that one.
So I will move that we approve the Tecton architecture design fee contract amendment as provided to the town manager.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, discussions? Okay. Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? That's been approved. Next up on the agenda is an update from Tecton on IT and communications.
I don't have a big update tonight.
Okay.
We are. I was hoping to have some updated renderings for you of how the building looks now that we shrunk it down by 5 feet in those respective areas of both floors. It's taken us a little while to get the model up to snuff. So the way that the process works from the conceptual design previous, we use sort of like what we call like a sketch model. So it's a little looser, and we push and pull that a little bit in a way that wouldn't be conducive to producing a set of construction documents. So then we sort of redo everything, get into the production model, which is all cloud-based with all of our consultants. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been building that in. We've been getting our consultants onboarded and up to speed. We had our first kickoff meeting with them last week to go over the project parameters and schedule. And so they're all up to speed in starting their production efforts for this first phase of schematic design. We also did have a initial kickoff meeting to talk about radio communications with the fire department, as well as the town's radio consultant and integrator, Mark Cady. It went well. We identified some areas of coordination that we'll continue the conversation on. There were no major issues raised. We had some conversations about the town's fiber network, private fiber network, radio fiber network, and how we can support that coming into the site, as well as some potential redundant antennas for some backup communication. So we have some provisions that we'll incorporate into the design that will allow for that infrastructure to be integrated. It's an initial conversation. There's going to be more meetings to come down the road as really hone in on the details. We also had a discussion about the BDA, which is essentially a radio signal booster. It's required by the building code that during construction we test to make sure there's radio continuity within the building in order to accommodate where there's a lag in that radio infrastructure. A BDA, which is a bidirectional amplifier, is a series of antennas connected with coaxial cable through the building, gets installed. It's hard to say whether or not it's going to be needed until the building is built. These operate on these radio and microwave frequencies, and those frequencies have a hard time. They see glass and steel as solid objects that they can't make their way through. So until the building is partially up, we can't test for that. So we will provide for it within the contract documents. We had some discussions on whether it should be carried as a unit cost that could be deducted, or something that's in the initial contract and is credited out by change order, should it not be required, or not included at all, with some initial provisions, and then buy it as a change order should it be needed. So we'll continue to have that conversation and look at that, the analysis on what's the most prudent way forward for the town. Typically, in the past, we've included it in the contract and credited it back if it isn't required. It's been less common that we've been able to test and not need it, so it makes more sense, in my opinion, to include it at this time, but it's a further conversation we'll continue to have. We also have an initial meeting with the fire department next week, right after the holiday, to talk about the initial HVAC system selection. With the advent of all-electric buildings in Massachusetts in particular, the load demand on the building becomes significantly higher with an all-electric system. So determining whether or not we're going to be full electric or gas or some sort of hybrid in the middle is really critical for us to size the electrical system, which allows us to generate a load letter, which tells the electric utility company, this is how big the building's electrical service is going to be. Start engineering it, which takes months and months for them to do. So it's kind of one of our initial critical path components that we need to get underway early on. So that's why that initial meeting is happening so early in the process. And then the results of that we'll share with the committee, and certainly give you an opportunity to advise on that system selection as well.
And just to piggyback off of Matt too, we had discussion on getting National Grid involved pretty soon too for pole relocations at the entrance of the site, because we all know how fun they are to deal with. So we want to get that conversation done early on with them. So that's going to be happening soon.
Yep. That's it for my update.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Matt at the moment? Okay. If we move on to the next, the left field's updates.
Yep.
I'll give an overview for the pre-qualification subcommittee. So especially for those tuning in, as we've decided to go Chapter 149, Design Bid Build, we need to go through a pre-qualification process. for any project that's over 10 million. So what that means is we'll be developing a request for qualifications that will get issued prior to the bidding. And this will give an opportunity for contractors, both general contractors and subcontractors, to submit their qualifications. And this will include things like their experience doing other fire station or public safety buildings, how long they've been in business, how long their management personnel has been working for the company, things like their financials to make sure that they're suited to do this type of work. And then we'll do a lengthy process of reaching out to references. So the pre-qualification subcommittee will consist of one person from the architect, one person from the OPM, and 3 people from the committee or the town to represent the pre-qualification subcommittee. And we'll do, Left Field will do much of the heavy lifting and scoring and reviewing those packages and reporting back to the pre-qualification subcommittee what our findings were and what our scoring is that would eventually get voted on and submitted to the overall committee for their review. So at this point, we would like to create that pre-qualification subcommittee to get those 3 people on board with us as we develop the criteria. So this would be things like, do you feel that a contractor should have done at least 5 public safety buildings in order to be qualified? And so the scoring would reflect whatever criteria that we put within the request for qualifications, otherwise called an RFQ for short. So I don't know if anyone on the committee has interest in doing that or would like to speak with us offline more about what that would entail. But again, Left Field would do much of the heavy lifting when it comes to developing the RFQ and doing the scoring as well.
So,
Yeah, I know we had conversation in the past about possibly having individuals join the subcommittee sooner than later. I don't know if there has anyone has had that kind of thought in their head.
I was just about to ask if anybody's
yeah, I
has
think-
positive thoughts. I think there's one person that not here tonight if I remember right, 2 weeks ago he expressed an interest in it, but I probably want to hold off until he comes back. But
Yeah, no worries.
but if there's anybody else that would be interested in sitting on it,
do we have to formally create that subcommittee?
probably.
Can we do that now and fill it later?
But yeah,
I will make a motion that we create a pre-qualification subcommittee, which will include representatives from the architect, from the OPM, owner project manager, and 3 individuals representing the town, either from this committee or from town administration.
all right. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any questions? All right. All those in favor? All right. Okay. All right. So if you want to think about it, and the next meeting we can pull it out. I know you're trying to, but we need to pull some other people that are 2 people that are not here. I think one of them probably would be. So I just don't want to
Yeah.
volunteer him in his
That's what you
absence.
get for not being here.
But I know with the next time we have to, since our terms ended actually tonight, then we have to reorganize at the next meeting anyway. So we'll have to
Yeah.
be taking that on at the next one too as well. So we can work on that. Then you had on here for update on the geotechnical test pits.
Yep. So I reached out to the surveyor, got a hold of them through Chief, and they were able to send Matt and his civil engineers the CAD drawings that they've required. That way they can take a peek at that and get a kickstart on with the needs of the surveyor basically on site. So I'm going to reach back out tomorrow morning, schedule them as soon as possible. It should only be a day's work to get them back out, just because the last survey done was prior to the demolition of the existing building. So we're going to need a new survey out there, and it shouldn't take too long, but I'll get them out there as soon as possible.
In terms of the test pits, that'll lag a little bit. I want to get my engineering team focused on laying out some of the subsurface stormwater systems and things like that. So what's going to be really important for the test pits is understanding some of the groundwater conditions and things like that. So we'll get a little bit down the road with design and then mobilize them to get going on that work.
And again, the test bits are probably only like a day's work too as well. So
Okay. Any questions of left field? Or-
We just had a note on here for the front end specifications. So we'll probably want to get from the town the contracts that should go and the specifications and things like the insurance requirements. And then we'll work to customize the front end for the bidding. So specifications is what tells the contractor what general requirements and things to follow and what procedures to follow within the project. So we'll start working on those now, just proactively, so we get the contracts all set within the front end.
Okay.
Do we rent temp facilities?
Do they,
I like to, because I like the bathroom.
okay. They don't usually follow one of the AIA documents or anything, or?
Yes, it's just if the town has any specific
Okay.
contract requirements. I know that there's been some other recent work done on schools. So we usually use
Yeah.
the A101, AIA 101 and 201 contracts, and then just have some insurance requirements stuck to that. So if there's anything differently that the town would do for the contractor, because it is a contract between the town and the general contractor.
Okay. I know the last school we did was CM at risk, and so we had. But I'm trying to remember. I don't. I believe it was the AAA formats. But we'll have to go back
That's
to that.
typical.
Okay. Next item is committee discussion and topics. I don't know if anybody's got any other open issues right now, or things they want to bring up, talk about.
I don't have anything new other than going back to the pre-qualification subcommittee.
Yep.
I would just ask that we allow people to email if they're interested in the committee in case they are not here for the next meeting.
Okay.
So that we don't hold up the process waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have a question about that topic, through the chair. So, is there a way to come up with like a job description, if you will, for that subcommittee so people kind of understand the commitment they're signing up for and what will be asked? I know you said you guys will do a lot, but
Yeah.
at least if we could get that out to the group,
Yeah.
then they can make a
Yeah.
better decision about the time
Definitely.
commitment.
Yeah, we have that for sure, and I think it will be, give you some insight into what the responsibilities are. But just to give you a heads up, it would be an initial meeting to develop the criteria, probably another meeting to review and discuss any changes, and then once we actually get the submissions in, then we would have a meeting telling you our findings and starting to score them and review those with you. So, of course, we would want the subcommittee to do their own review, and if they have any questions or want us to look into something, or we got some negative feedback or what have you, we would want it to be an open dialogue with the subcommittee. But I would say overall, you probably wouldn't spend more than like 4 or 5 hours committing to the process.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Joe mentioned or I'm not sure who mentioned it actually, about the biggest part of it was checking references. Is that part of the committee's, or is that going to be left fields?
You're welcome to call references, but we do that.
Okay.
We would, so the whole scoring is built on references and then their actual submission that they send us. So we would get the packages and go through page by page, scoring each of the things, and then present that to you. So it would just be if you had any questions or concerns, or if somebody scored lower or higher, and you just needed more clarification, we would be handling those discussions with you.
Okay. Any other questions, discussions? All right. Like the last item on the agenda is public comment for tonight. Seeing no public, move on. Right now we have tentatively scheduled for the 14th for the next meeting. I don't know if, I know summers are going to be tough. If it makes sense for the 14th, or if you guys need more time to develop stuff before we get to the next, but, or unless we need to get there for this, need to be there for the subcommittee people to get on there.
I know Joe was thinking more about meeting monthly rather than bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Moving forward, just as, things are building up here on this side. And, yeah, if we could maybe think on that.
Can I make a suggestion? What if we do the
Committee
14th
done sooner than
so that
later.
we can reorganize the committee and we can do the subcommittee?
Yeah, they have to get resworn in.
And then maybe we skip, go to the middle of August for the next meeting after
Yeah.
that. That gives time for vacations and things too to sort of clear out as well.
Well, and I guess we could
That's-
see what they need from us.
Yeah,
If it makes
yeah,
more
yeah.
sense to kick it to a month.
Yeah. And then as things get going again, we can go back to bi-weekly.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to be clear too, on the 14th, you're gonna do a resworn,
Well, everybody's should have been re-sworn in, and so we have to, now that we're back as a new, as of next month, it's a new committee, so that we have to just go through, decide how, if we want to stay with the same structure in terms of president or a chairman, vice chair, and a secretary, or and then vote again on people and stuff.
understood. All right, great, thank you.
So unless you guys have anything pressing that you're going to bring to that next meeting, it's probably not going to be a shorter meeting than this one.
Only the subcommittee and.
Yeah.
that's about it, yeah.
I'm hopeful I'll have some design updates for you for that meeting. I'm not going to give you 100% on that today, but
Okay.
we'll advise you as we approach that date.
Okay.
Where we're at.
And I think if you guys don't have agenda items for that and it's just an organization meeting for us, then you wouldn't need to come in. I would say if you're not on the agenda, then, we can just take care of the things that we would need to take care of and move on to the next one. But
All right. So with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
All those in favor? All right. Let's see you on the 14th.
All right.